Teach me. Teach me a little bit, yeah. You never know. Try.
So, is this everyone? Awesome. So we can get started. First of all, how was the tour? Was it good?
Awesome.
Was it really cool? Did you guys see anything new that you've never seen before, or
Everything?
everything? What was some people's favorite parts?
The 3D printer was cool.
3D printing? Yeah, that's really cool. I love that part. Did you guys get to see the CNC machine, the big 4x8 sheet? That's pretty cool too. Well, awesome. So, unlike the other group, you guys actually know what a makerspace is now, right? So this will make my job easier. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the makerspace here, and obviously, if you've heard any of this from David, either block me out or tell me to go faster. And then just some stuff that we do with the community as well. So here's the beginning, the front of the makerspace, and same building as we are in. So this gentleman here, he actually builds these tables for another farm table company out here in Lincoln, and they sell the tables, and he usually just spins these legs for them. I thought that's a really cool first representation of how the makerspace can be used in entrepreneurship and business as well. Some more makers here in town. Actually, these ladies were in a robotics class that I was in actually, and this is one of the projects that we had to do. They built an arm here in the space, a robotic arm, which was amazing. It was really cool. So a makerspace, like David probably told you, is just a place where people can come and use equipment that they wouldn't be able to otherwise. It also is a great, just like melting pot of ideas and different people from different backgrounds. Whether that's, you have a background in art or in engineering or in business, can really bring people together and create just some different things that wouldn't be able to otherwise in other communities. We have a lot of pictures of people's creations here in the space, whether that's local sculptors or laser cutting on glasses, laser etching glasses, and Yeti mugs, and the 3D printing, like you were saying, as well as quilting. Yeah, I'm just going to flip through a couple of these. This gentleman here actually works with the Mill Coffee House. I don't know if you guys know the Mill here in town. You probably do. So he builds a lot of their build-outs that they use, like trash can holders and things like that. But he works out of here in the space. A local sculptor here in town uses this space as well. Many potters. And yeah, they gave me a lot of pictures. So here's the Woodshop, as you guys have seen. Something that's really cool with this Woodshop, I use this quite a bit actually, and a lot of these tools I would definitely not be able to use because they're thousands of dollars otherwise. And so this is something that's really cool. Is it allows people, especially younger people, because you don't have to be a college-age student or older to use the space. You can come in with a parent and use a lot of this equipment as well, supervised. And so something that's really cool is if you're younger and you don't have a lot of money, or but you want to get into making or creating or testing out business ideas or products. I know a lot of people will come in here and use the laser cutters. I think there's a picture here. They'll use the laser cutters or this vinyl cutter to create stickers or laser cut onto like tumblers, like Yeti tumblers and stuff, mugs, and sell them at their high school or do other things like that. And that's, I think, a really cool just like introduction into entrepreneurship as well. People use this vinyl cutter to create signs or stickers. That's a local company here in town for their work. You guys saw the CNC. Another really cool thing that we have here is the quilters. I believe the Nebraska Quilters Club meets here every so often, and we have one of the largest long arm quilters that they make in the space, and so they can come and use that to help make those quilts and do a lot of really cool things. I know in Nebraska through 4-H they also do quilting, and they do Quilts of Valor, which is giving away quilts to veterans as well, which is really cool. Some local sculptors. I don't know if you guys saw that deer with the weird antler hands, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Another really cool thing about the space here, and most makerspaces, is they usually have a display for the makers and for their wares, either if it's just to get recognition, get their name out, or to also sell from here. Somebody can come and see what people make and be like, oh, I want 4 of those bowls or something. And they're like, yeah. So we can boost some entrepreneurship there, where there's shops online like Etsy and stuff, but being able to buy locally is just with the local market's just always better. There's some 3D printers to make gears. So this gentleman was on the UNL archery team. I don't know if he still is. He might have graduated. What?
He is.
He is? Okay.
Yeah. Is that David?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, so he tried out for the Olympics, if I'm right, and wasn't able to make it this last for Rio, but I believe he's going to try again. But he comes in and he uses the 3D printer, and we also have a 3D scanner to scan his bow grips, and he can alter them in online software and then 3D print new ones for, I guess, different styles of shooting and fitting his hand better. So he's been in here a lot creating those. Another really cool project is the engineering department. Their senior design projects, a lot of people come in and use this space for creating their senior design projects. This team right here is actually creating a zero gravity device for NASA at the Jet Propulsion Lab there. And so they come in and we're using the laser cutter to cut out these hockey puck type things for that. This gentleman, I heard in the last talk with the Minnesota versus Nebraska game, there was this broken chair award, I don't know, but it got lost, and so he came in and he rebuilt one, and then they made a whole bunch of them to sell, to give out, and then just local people coming in and making game scoreboards for their high schools or elementary schools. This pair right here, they came in and used the CNC machine to make a violin. I don't know if David was telling you about that or not, but they made this violin all on the CNC, every part of it except for like the strings and hardware. And they actually just got played on a radio. A local violinist came and played their violin on the radio to raise awareness for the space, as well as just really cool stuff. There are a lot of pottery classes. This is, I think, one of the most popular things in the space is there are some local community potters that are phenomenal and sculptors, and so they will teach classes for just entry level, for if you want to just do it for therapeutic, whatever, or if you want to sell your wares, you can do that too. So here's some more classes of that. Some face sculpting. This is another really cool thing with that quilter, just a combination of old school and new school tech. They had a graphics design class that came in and made these quilt blocks that then they took to the long arm quilter, and they were able to quilt them and make their own little quilt box. That's just, I love that because it's one of the really cool things about makerspaces all around the world, but also here, is that you really get that combination. If you were a graphic designer, I wouldn't have thought to put something on a quilt that I designed, and then similarly if I was a quilter. But here, having them, literally like 50 feet away from each other, that allowed this idea to come to life. We have a lot of screen printers here as well. There are a couple companies that come and use our screen printing to make T-shirts. Some art students will do that as well, and yeah. Another cool thing with just entrepreneurship is this is Surin Kim on the left. I hope I pronounced her name right. And she works with the Angler program here over on East Campus, and she's an associate professor there. and has her own business consulting company. And she was able to come in and offer community members just a little office hours, so to say, so they could come in and kind of pitch their ideas. A lot of times, as I'm sure you guys know, if you have an idea, it's hard to find people to bounce it off of. And so having a professional come in and say, you know, I'm just here for time, it was nothing, it didn't cost anything to the members. They were able to just come in and kind of bounce their idea. And she was able to talk them through it and what the next steps might be for them, and especially if it's a product that they're making in the space currently. There it is again, she did 2 of those. This is a local gentleman. He works in one of the companies here in the building, and he CNC'd all of, or most of their furniture for their office space with that 4x8 CNC, which is really cool. All of these plans were open source. He found them online, and he was able to just use them with the Creative Commons and just create all of this. He also taught a class on how he did this to community members who want to do that to their own space, or also if they just want to print these off and then sell them as well. So I believe the next thing is more screen printing. So the NSF grant, National Science Foundation, the Makerspace got a grant with UNL Extension, which is where I work, and this grant allows us to create another Makerspace. So we just set one up in November out in Sidney, Nebraska, which is out in the Panhandle, if you don't know, very far away, in one of their local libraries that they have out there. It's a lot smaller than ours, has 3D printers, laser cutters, a little desktop CNC as well, and some vinyl cutting and other things. So this grant allows us to look at communicating with them virtually with the space. So we do a lot of stuff with VR with them, virtual reality, and so we're able to get on our computers with these VR goggles and get into virtual space with people out there as well, and collaborate on designing and sculpting together. And then once we do that in the space, we're able to download that and 3D print it, or create it either here or there. And so that's just a really cool branch of knowledge that this Makerspace is able to impact somebody from across the state, basically. We also have a couple of telepresence robots, which I don't have a picture of, but you guys might have seen them. They were out by the big TV wall. There was just this little weird robot. But we have one in Sidney that we're able to access, and so we can, on our computers, go out there and drive around and kind of be a face, give them some more support that those people out there or in those communities wouldn't necessarily know a lot about, CNC or something like that. It just takes a while to learn, but we're able to offer our expertise to them as well. So that's part of the grant that we got. So with the Library Innovation Studios, we got a commission with the Library Commission here in Nebraska, and give me a second. And so with that, we're able to do a rotating makerspace. So we have 4 right now that every 20 weeks they rotate between different libraries in different cities here in Nebraska. And so what that allows is gives that community a little bit of time, access to a makerspace to see what it is, get more awareness for that, and then also the idea is that when we are able to get more funding, either through another grant, then we can go back and create permanent makerspaces there with ties to the university and ties to this space as well, to just offer more expertise to people in communities where they might not have access to this. You might not have a garage that you can work in or something like that. So here's that desktop, the Carvey CNC that we have out at Sidney, as well as one here in the space. We also work with the Lincoln Children's Museum, and we are helping them create a couple of exhibits. They come in and they are working right now on a superheroes exhibit, where I believe this one, you're able to pull up your friend with ease, like Superman or something. And so they've been creating that in the space, which is really cool, and I hope they continue to make more exhibits here in the space. But that's how this space, even if it's not affiliated with the university, they're able to go out and help the community. Oh, superhero. one of the last things we also do is Beyond School Bells. This is a program that we take these trailers and we outfit them with a lot of tools and equipment, and they go around to rural communities, to places that might not have, like high schools and middle schools that might not have access to tools and equipment. And so we go out there and give them activities, after school programs, as well as summer programs. And right now the university just put together 4 fellows, students who from different departments at the university to create that curriculum for those spaces. And this gentleman here, standing behind the desk, he's a local gentleman who donated 4 lathes, mini lathes that you might have seen out there. And he works with the VA program, the Veterans Association here in Lincoln, and does pen turning and teaches veterans how to pen turn as part of just some rehabilitation into regular day life and having a community and working with your hands. So there's one lady who went through, and that's the pen that she was able to create, which I think is super cool. And so a lot of people will be able to take something like this, like pen turning, and they can do a whole bunch. And I'm sure if you guys have gone to any farmer's market, you've seen somebody there with pens that they're selling. And so this is a great way to also have some business within the space. And then we have some video production that came through as well. We also work with the Lincoln Maker Fair, which is a fair that's held every summer, I believe, beginning of summer. Don't quote me on that. What we do is, or what they do is, local makers from any shop around town can come and have a booth and basically promote their work as a local maker and show what they're doing and show how you can either get in with what they're doing or just see something that you've never seen. I saw a gentleman who was recreating vintage microphones and speakers that he would then sell because they had a better sound quality, I guess, than the digital ones, which was really cool to see. So we go out there and we obviously promote the space, but also just promote making in Lincoln as a whole. That's a stool or a chair that was created on the CNC that you can just slap together, that's pretty cool. Some more screen printing and activities. This is a drawing that a local designer here that works with the Beyond School Bells program did as he was creating the shelves that went into that trailer that I showed you earlier. And yeah, that is all of the presentation. I wanted to leave some time for some Q&A. You guys asked a lot less questions during the presentation. So yeah, if you guys have any questions now, that'd be great. I'd love to answer them. I could start calling too on people.
I was so curious.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just curious what you guys do with the leftover material.
Yeah, so a lot of material is so scrap is a big thing, especially within a makerspace. A lot of times, well, we try and recycle. I don't know if you saw the different colored bins that we have out there. We do recycling, trash, and I believe compost as well. And so we try and do that as much as we can. A lot of people, if there's, like say you cut out of a sheet of plywood and there's still a substantial amount left, but you don't want it, we do have a couple sections where you can just put that, and then anybody who wants it can come and use it. I know a lot of the times, since you have to bring in your own materials and use those, a lot of times I'll just kind of come and see what is in the scrap bins, because usually there's some good stuff that people just, it doesn't fit with their project or they don't want to, keep it anymore. And so you can make some small trinkets out of that. But unfortunately there is just some waste that's going to occur through this. Yeah, a very good question. Do we have a question over there?
I was just wondering about do you have certain classes that are offered to the public?
Yeah.
Or do you create classes if there was a group that wanted to come in?
Yeah, so we do have a couple different things. So with the space, to use any of the equipment, you need to come in, be a member, so pay for that, and then also take a training course on how to use that equipment. We do have a couple different groups like the Nebraska Quilters Association and the Nebraska Woodturners Association that come in and use the space to have their monthly or weekly meetings. And then I believe in phase 2 we're going to be getting some more just kind of conference room space in there that we'll be able to have some more classes on as well.